Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnès and I make videos for fun. It's the day before Thanksgiving here in the United States, and normally I would probably be baking my favorite, an apple pie. But instead I'm trying something different, something related to a pecan pie, a cake, a walnut cake that is from a region of Switzerland that my ancestors came from, Graubuenden, or Les Grisons as I call it, because I grew up in Geneva. It was my second brother's favorite, always the cake he asked for his birthday. The reason I got reminded of this cake is kind of surprising. A number of months ago, my husband came back from visiting family in South Korea, and he brought back a special treat. Walnuts in Graubuenden grow on trees, quite literally. By that I mean trees are part of the local flora, so it is a popular thing to make over there. It's very hardy, I think hardier than a pecan pie. So it is something that's good for the cooler season, and it's good for those mountainous areas where there's zero horizontal lines and where the winters are quite brutal. My last cooking video was for chocolate pudding. You'll find it if you look through this playlist. And I think in that video, how did I put it? I said that none of what I make is ever complicated or difficult. I'm gonna break from that rule with this one. I got the recipes, I looked at it, and this is a cake that has many steps, some construction required. It also, you want to make this ahead of time because you're gonna make something and let it cool and bake, let it cool again. So I expect this to take all afternoon. My mom was a fine baker, but she never attempted a Graubuenden cake. She would get it at the store, and having looked at the recipe, now I understand why. But I live in the United States, I can't just go to my local Migros and get myself a Graubuenden cake, so here we are. Let's get started and see how this goes. You want to start by preparing the pan for the cake. The cake will taste the same regardless of the shape that you adopt, but if you want the traditional looking one, you want a round pan. They say in the recipe 24 centimeters, which is 10 inches. Mine is smaller than that. It's 8-inch, 20 centimeters, but that's all I've got. So I'll probably have too much filling, too much batter, or maybe I'll make a deeper cake. The Graubuenden cake is kind of flat. Mine, if it can. Again, I have not made that before, so I don't know what it behaves like. At any rate, this is what I've got. So we want some parchment paper, and you want to line the bottom of your pan with that parchment paper. So next we need to make the crust for this cake. I know it's called a cake, but really it's more like a pie. So there's a crust that goes on the bottom, and also you cover it with that same crust. So we need to make something that's called sweet pate brisee. Contrary to the notion we have in the United States, pate brisee does not contain any sugar. But there is a type of pate brisee which we're going to make here that is sweet, and it's meant to be sweet. So we're not going to be putting in a tablespoon of sugar here. We're not going to joke about our sugar. We mean this to be sweet. Like I said, this is going to be a hearty cake. So I've put the ingredients in the description, but it's just like regular pate brisee. It's really very few ingredients. It would be flour, sugar, salt, and an egg. My cat is in a playful mood. I took away a plastic bag from her earlier because it was too noisy, but there's still shenanigans happening in the next room. So I've made this pate pate brisee before. It's also good to make strawberry pie. And it comes out, it's very tasty, buttery. Oh yeah, I forgot. Butter also comes into play. Very important. It's buttery, it's sweet, and it's got a little yellow tinge to it because of the egg. If you want to do serious baking, I really recommend getting a kitchen scale. Baking by volume is not quite as accurate, and since I'm making a lot of recipes out of Europe, I do have a couple kitchen scales that are in grams, as this one. This was actually my mom's. It's from the 1960s, hence the color. Alright, but it works great. So 300 grams of flour. Then we want to add a pinch of salt. That's another trademark of French and Swiss baking, and I don't want to say European, because Europe is a huge, it's very diverse and big area of the world. So I'm only familiar with French and Swiss baking. It's always a pinch of salt when you're doing baking. You know, in American baking, you often end up putting like a full teaspoon of salt. It's quite, you can actually feel it in the finished product, but here it's just meant to give it a little oomph, but you don't really want to feel it. Okay, the salt, and then sugar. 125 grams of sugar, so let's see how much sugar that is. Alright. I don't know if you counted all the tablespoon I put in, but this is 125 grams of sugar. And then to this, another healthy ingredient, we want to incorporate some butter. So butter, 175 grams. That's 11 tablespoons of butter. The butter should be cold. Mine is kind of soft. I left it at a winter home's room temperature. And they say to work this in with your bare hands. That's always how my mom did it. Alright, I got it to where it's broken down into small pieces. This is a lot faster if you have a food processor. The only thing is, I saw this on Martha Stewart a long time ago, you want to be gentle, like pulse it, and only do it until it barely broke down the butter into pieces. Don't overdo the food processor. So now we want to add the last ingredient, the egg. I like to break mine down just a little, like I don't want to beat it. You know who else likes raw eggs? No, I don't like raw eggs, but this little guy, he does. Later, Coco. So the key, that's also true with the pate brisee, the regular one, the non-sweet ones. It's you want to work it gently, and it's really important you just want to incorporate the ingredient and work it just enough until it's incorporated. You don't really want to, this is sans pétrir. You don't want to knead. So that's the word I was looking for. Just gently incorporate the egg until Cats are fighting. Until this just comes together. Not a chance. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on my camera again after I thought about what to do. But what I ended up doing was to add some water. This is what you do in the non-sweet pate brisee. The same rules apply. Put as little as possible and work as little as possible until you can get something that barely holds together. So I'm going to cover that and it goes in the fridge. Upon editing, I realized that this video was running quite long. This is a process, you guys, so we'll have to continue that next time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.